The first step in your relief print is transferring your image onto your block. We use a graphite transfer like I'm showing in the video so that it will reverse or mirror your image for you. You need to have a mirrored or backwards image of whatever you're wanting to print to carve into your block, because when you carve it, it will flip again once we've printed it. Once you have your image drawn out, go back over it with a lot of graphite. Go over the lines a couple of times. Use a softer pencil if you have one. This works a lot better if you're using an old school yellow pencil or a soft drawing pencil versus a mechanical pencil. You'll line up your block, and then you want to make sure that the paper is on top, so you'll go ahead and flip that over. And then once it's flipped over, you're going to take your pencil and you're going to rub it on the back of the paper so that it'll transfer that image for you. You want to hold the paper while you're doing this, because the less it moves, the more detail you're able to get out of the graphite rubbing. I don't show it in this video because this is a carving that I made in one sitting, but because we are continuing to carve over several days, it's a good idea to go over this design in Sharpie so that it doesn't get washed off in the pile. When you're beginning to carve, you can find which bit is the best for your design. You'll probably want to start with something thinner and go around the outlines of your image before using a thicker carving tool to pull out large areas. Make sure that you've figured out what areas need to be positive and negative space. Anything that you carve away will be the white of the paper or whatever color paper or fabric you have that you're printing on. You don't need to carve super deep into the block at first, especially. A light carving will work, and you can always come in and take more off, but you can't put it back onto the block. So work carefully and slowly. Be careful not to cut towards your hand. I messed this up several times. It's easy to forget, but it's important so that you don't skip and hurt yourself. If you are using a block that you want to print on fabric, this is only really important for things where you're doing multiple colors, or if you're wanting to work on fabric. You only are able to, in my class, use two colors because it's the easiest way for us to print and make sure everyone has time to print. But if you need multiple colors, it can be helpful to actually cut your design out in the separate pieces that would be different colors. Feel free to wait for me to be there to do this so that we can make sure that we're cutting it nicely and leaving a solid barrier. You want to make sure that you've got some space around what you're carving and you're not carving exactly up to the design. Lastly, it can be helpful once you've done that to come back in and to draw some registration marks. Registration is how you make sure that a print is lined up correctly. And so for that, I'm just drawing some X's over the places where those pieces overlap.